Hey, what's up all my Nexus family? It is your host, Dr. Daniel Kimbley, and you are tuned into another episode of the Nexus Podcast. And on this week's episode of the podcast, I have to share probably one of the craziest things that I have ever heard in practice. It is not about someone getting amazing results, although we have had many of those, as we always do, over the course of the last few weeks. But here's what actually went down, is we had a parent call, and their kiddo, young child, like literally less than 3 months old, was struggling with some things. And I won't give away too many of the details of that, because if that person hears this podcast, I don't necessarily want to call them out, but I am going to call them out, and I'm going to call out the reality about something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, is that like anybody who really wants to get results, like there's going to be something uncomfortable that you have to do. And what I am starting to realize is that the more uncomfortable the decision you have to make, the bigger the results are actually going to be. And so here's what went down this week, is that we had a client, potential new client, call to schedule their child, schedule them, got them on the schedule. We take all the time to do that, all the time to send them an info, send them this customized email, like all the stuff that we do because we want to create an amazing experience for people. And then about an hour before the appointment, this person calls and says, hey, I'm not going to be able to get the paperwork done. And we're like, okay, no problem. You can just come into the office. You can fill out the paperwork here. And the paperwork is literally online. So like if you're not familiar with our process, one question pops up at a time. You can literally do it right from your cell phone. You can do it from an iPad. You can do it from a computer. There's no need to print anything out. There's no need to have a pen. There's no need to have a printer. There's no need to have a pencil. You don't have to mail anything back. All you have to do is literally be on your phone to fill out the questions. And this is the objection that we heard from this potential client about their kiddo at that, right? It wasn't just about them, it's literally about their kid, is that the paperwork is too thorough. I'm not kidding. Like, I can't make this up. Literally, the excuse is that we're going to have to cancel the appointment. The paperwork is too thorough. And in my head, when I hear this from Danielle, like my head just wants to explode, because I'm like, oh, paperwork is too thorough. Like, wouldn't you want a doctor who was thorough with you? Wouldn't you want a doctor who wanted all the data and all the information so that they could give you the best answers, so that they could give you the best results possible? And yet here, this parent is, the paperwork's too thorough. We're just going to go somewhere else where maybe they just bring me in. Maybe I don't even have to do paperwork. They could just lay my kid on the table, do some stuff. They have no specialized training. They really don't work with kiddos. They do the same thing whether they're 3 months old or whether they're 67 years old. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to take my kid to somebody who's not thorough. Like, I don't know any parent who literally wouldn't go through the pain if they were troubled enough with what their kid had going on, especially a 3-month-old not thriving, to be able to say, it's just, the paperwork's just too much. Or like, that's just too much work. Here's the reality. It's like anything worth getting results is too much work. Like, people go into the gym to get a six-pack. People, like, this is why less than 1% of the population has a six-pack, is because nobody's willing to put in the work and the hard effort to be able to be disciplined in the gym, be disciplined with their nutrition, be disciplined in their mindset. When they want to eat cookies and drink alcohol when everybody else at the party is they say no. Like, it takes a discipline and an effort, and this is not about a six-pack, right? What this is this is about results inside of our lives. Because what I know and what I have come to understand over the course of the last 38 years now that I have been on this planet is that anything worth doing requires commitment. And the better the result, the higher level of commitment it's going to take. So sure, you could go to a chiropractor who has, what's your first name, what's your last name, and then write constipation on the paper and that's it. Or you could go to somebody who asks about APGAR scores and ask about nutrition and ask about developmental milestones. Why? Because those things matter. Those things guide us to be able to help you at a deeper level. And so this isn't about me. It's not about my practice. It's going to be a really short episode of the podcast today, but I wanted to share it with you because I think that so often people are like, I can't drive there 2 times a week, or I can't do that thing twice a week, or I can't. It's just excuses. It's literally excuses. Like, if you wanted something bad enough, you'll find a way to make it happen. This is why I love fitness so much, is because, and I'm not like a fitness guru by any means, but why I love it so much is because it's the only thing that you can't outsource. You can't have somebody else show up at the gym for you and you get a result. I know there are a lot of people who wish to work that way. The same thing is true inside of our office. Like, somebody else can't show up for you. Like, yes, you have to fill out paperwork. Yes, you have to be committed. Yes, you have to come to your appointments. Yes, why? Because we care. Because we care to see you get a result. And we know that the only way that you're going to get a result is that if you stick with the process and you have someone to hold you accountable. And guess what? In a lot of other areas, I see people all the time, oh, I have this business idea, and I have this business idea, and I have this business idea, and I want to do this thing, and I try to do this thing, and guess what? None of it works. Why does that never work? Because you don't stick with it long enough for any of it to work. I'm going to diet for a week, and then I fall off the train, and then I'm going to start again in 3 months, and then I fall off the train again. I see people do this all the time. It's like anything that matters requires a level of commitment, and the deeper the level of the commitment, the better results you're going to get. Like, there's nothing that doesn't require commitment, and everything else is just excuses. You could say it's too hard, you could say it's not worth it, you could say whatever the reality is, but the actuality of the whole thing is that it's just an excuse. The paperwork's too thorough. Good. It should be. If you're looking for less than results with your kid, why'd you even call in the first place? Like, so many places in life. Getting super fired up, getting super frustrated. But the reality is this, is that we want to hold you accountable. We want to see you get results. We want to see the world change for the better. And guess what? That requires a level of accountability. That requires a level of holding yourself accountable. That requires a level of ownership and not making excuses for the things that are going well or not going well inside of your own life. And my friends, this is what we're all about here in our office, is allowing people to experience more presence, more productivity, and more profit. And we do that through holding people accountable. So my question for you is this, is like, where could you hold yourself to another level of accountability? Where could you do the thing that you're making excuses to not do? Because literally it's as simple as just doing it. Most people get stuck in a trap, they get stuck in a rut because they do this one thing. They'll literally say, I know I need to do that, but I'm going to put it off and not do it. And reality is that most of the time, that thing is really, really easy to get done if they would just sit down and do it. It may take 5 minutes, it may take 10 minutes. I'll give you a perfect example of this for myself. We did the R&D credit, which is a tax thing for our office. And after doing the R&D credit, because we're constantly changing our technique and things like that, so after doing the tax credit, there's a bill that's due. It was a significant bill, and I literally put it off until the last minute. I put it off, put it off, put it off, put it off, put it off. And every single day, it's in the back of my head. It's like, that bill's due. That bill's due. What do you think that does to my time and attention? It takes time and attention away from my family. It takes time and attention away from the clients, the people who we get to take care of inside of our office. And here it is. It's like it just took a commitment to say, you know what, I'm going to sit down for the 5 minutes, less than that it takes me to click on the credit card link, type in my credit card info, my first name and my last name, and hit submit and pay the bill. Like, that's it. It's literally that simple. So my friends, where in your life are you not getting results because you don't have a level of commitment? Like, where are you making the excuses like, oh, the paperwork's too thorough? And maybe for you it's not paperwork, but like this metaphor, this idea of like, oh, that's too hard or that's too many hoops to jump through is like, how bad do you want results? And if you don't want results, don't tell people that you want results. And if you do, stop telling yourself a story that you don't. Like, it's that simple. So my friends, hope you got some value out of this episode. I love you and I appreciate you, and you know that I will come back to you again next week. Peace.